Hello everyone, I am Alka103 and welcome to day 12 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Advent Calendar series. Today, we are going to get to the 12th card, therefore halfway through the Advent Calendar. And to mark the halfway point, we have... Yes, I was hoping this card would be in here. Santa Claus! Santa Claus, a level 6 Fiend Light Monster. 1200 attack, 2500 defense. Which probably is a reference to the 25th of December in the American system, where it's month first, then day. In the European system, this would be 2500 attack or 1200 defender, like Summon Skull. You can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field in defense position, which you're putting one monster they control. If summoned this way, once, during the end phase of this turn, you can draw one card. However, during the end phase of this turn, which means the turn it was summoned, it activates. That turn, this card is probably on the opponent's side of the field. And because that final effect activates on the opponent's side of the field, the you can draw one card. The you refers to your opponent because they control this card. So you take out one of their, probably their big threats, place this card there in defense position, and if this card survives until the end phase, then the opponent gets to draw one card. Santa Claus. Yeah, I was hoping this card would be in here. Wonder how well he get along with Delibird. Well, let's make a card related to Santa Claus.
It's almost Christmas, so Santa Claus will be coming to town. Except this one looks kind of really evil. So what we're doing today is something kind of crazy. Something that doesn't necessarily support Santa Claus in doing what it's doing, but instead makes use of the fact that it's a light monster on the opponent's field. And we're gonna make something pretty crazy. So I'll give you a hint. We're making an Ally of Justice card. Something related to a Synchro Summon. It'll be an effect monster. Machine. Not sure if I'll make it a tuner or not. Let's go with that. Pretty sure they're all dark. Level I'm not sure about yet. This is what we're working with. What kind of Ally of Justice are we making? Well, the entire idea that I have with Santa Claus is, unlike Volcanic Queen and Lava Golem, when this thing special summons to the opponent's field, you still have your normal summon for the turn. And the idea is that either this is your normal summon or something else, I suppose, if you want to help set things up. But normal summon something. Let's say this Ally of Justice monster, if you have to come up with its name. But then using its effects, like banishing it and then like two other things from the graveyard, somewhat similar to Alvis of the Nordic Alfar, I special, like the levels have to equal 10, and then I special summon an Ally of Justice, a Synchro Monster from the extra deck. And the thing is, all the Aesirs like this thing can summon are all level 10, so then it doesn't matter. But I'm thinking of summoning Ally of Justice Decisive Armor, which normally needs a tuner and two or more non-tuner monsters, but I want to summon it in a different way. Once per turn, if your opponent controls a phase of light monster, you can activate one of these effects. Now, Santa Claus is a light monster, so if you summon that and then summon Decisive Armor in the same turn, then you can use this. Select one set card your opponent controls and destroy it. Okay. Send one card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy all spell and traps the opponent controls. Or send all cards in your hand to the graveyard to look at your opponent's hand and send all light monsters in their hand to the graveyard. And then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total attack of the opponent's monster sent to the graveyard. I want to be able to summon Decisive Armor. However, do I want to allow the others to be synchroed as well, such as Cataster, which is a nice and good synchro monster to have on its own. So I'm thinking I'm gonna base myself on like the card text of Alpha and Nordic Alpha and King's Consonants. Um, let's see. Oh, I like this one. Whose total levels equal 8 or less, and if you do a special summon from your extra deck, one synchro monster whose level equals the total levels of the banished monster. Yes, I'm gonna go with that, so that way. But I'm gonna make it 10 or less because the highest ally of Justice Synchro is level 10, and ally of Justice size of armor, and then make it an ally of Justice Synchro. You can summon whatever you want. Now the lowest level ally of Justice Synchro is a level 5 ally of Justice Cataster. So I want my monster that I'm creating to be level 4 or below. I think I want it to banish at least 2 others, because, well, LF Justice, Light Gazer and Catastrophe need 1 non-tuner, but Field Marshal and the size of armor need 2. So let's check the others. Lots of level 4s, a few level 3s, and then some that are higher level. 1 level 2 and Unlimiter. So I could make mine a level... Let's say I make my monster level 2, then for Cataster... let's see. What do I banish alongside? Because I want Cataster to be summonable. I don't want to limit everything, so not make it too easy to summon Decisive Armor or anything like that. The Decisive Armor, if the opponent doesn't have a light monster, is just a strong monster. Cataster, I suppose, is the most useful. So I think it'll be like banish machines from the graveyard or something like that. I don't want to limit it too much to Allied Justices, but the Allied Justice ones are machines, so I can do that. Time to copy King's Consonants and edit it to the way that I like it. Also, I still need to figure out the level of this. I think level 3 is fine though, so that way there's always an Allied Justice you can combine with it to create Cataster. Purely within Allied Justice, Unlimiter can create Cataster. To get to Light Gazer, there's some level 5s or level 3 and 2 combo. Field Marshal, 2 level 3s, and a level 3 and 4 for Decisive Armor. That's an option. Let's see. You can banish this card and any... Oh, it's just banish this card and any number of non-tuners from the graveyard. Banish this card to activate the effect. Yeah, so you do lose the monster if the opponent wants to negate it. That's what I'm thinking for now anyway. You can banish this card as the cost. Banish any number of non-tuner monsters, non-tuner machine monsters from your graveyard to total level equal levels equals. Banish this card. Banish any number of non-tuner machine type monsters. Wait, I want to combine that in the card deck with Risus Crusher, which by the way is the name. Risus being Latin for smile, and this thing crushes your smiles. Just look at its face. Just during your main phase 1. I can say once per turn, but I wanted to put the clause at the end for the card name. So this needs to be different. You can banish this card and any number of non-tuner machine monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal 10 or less, and if you do special summon, this probably needs some card text updates. Special summon 1 synchro monster from your extra deck whose level equals summon 1. I need double quotation marks. Ally of Justice. For some, for me, actually, like one Ally of Justice Synchro Monster. What did it say? Any number of non-tuner machine monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal 10 or less, and if you do, special summon from your extra deck one Ally of Justice Synchro Monster whose level equals the total levels of those banished monsters this person is treated as a synchro summon. Just during the main phase. It's like it's there anyway. Like just you can activate this card to show that it's an activated effect. That wording needs to change. You can banish this card in any number of non-tuner machines. No, it's from your graveyard. If the levels equal 10 or less, and if you special from extra one AoJ Synchro Monsters level, okay. So the whole idea with this is you have one or two like machines in the graveyard. You special summon Santa Claus, quite potentially to get rid of an opponent's strong, dangerous card. Then you normal summon Risus Crusher, use its effect, banish it alongside one or two machines in the graveyard. Summon an appropriate ally of Justice Synchro Monster, such as ally of Justice Decisive Armor. And let's say we go with Decisive Armor. Because Santa Claus is a light monster, Decisive Armor can get rid of it. I suppose as long as the opponent's monster isn't a dark monster, can be type of card effects, you can completely ignore Santa Claus and just summon Cataster and go with it. But otherwise, Risus Crusher is still a very nice card to use, I think. It'll be nice. It's specific for an ally of Justice Synchros, but can be used outside of ally of Justice decks. But depending on the machines that you run in your deck, like you could have machine deck, let's say Cyber Dragons, and just use ally of Justice Risus Crusher in it with one or two ally of Justice Synchros in the extra deck. That is how I suppose this card could be used. The during your main phase I think needs to change because it's always during the main phase if it's an ignition effect. But I don't know what other word to use besides you can activate this effect. So I think this is nice. Level 3, I think level 3 is nice. Let's check for the stats. What do we want? Effects. None of the mods are super, some of them are kind of strong. Quarantine level 4, 1700 attack. That's a nice one to have. Core Destroyer, nice card as well with DNA Transplant, I believe is with attributes. Some tuners in there. By the way, this thing is still a tuner, can still just be used as a level 3 tuner monster. And that's also why it's non-tuner machines in the graveyard, so that it's kind of like a synchro summon. Even, let's say you take a level 7 machine, plus this card can still summon the size of armor, even though it normally requires 2 non-tuners. Whoops. I want to make it like 1300 attack, something like that. And then 11, it's like 1300, 1150. What do we think of this? Level 3 tuner, 1150. No real way to special summon itself, but once it's summoned you can do that. Oh yeah, and the limit of the card effect name. Let's just go to just Drill Dark. So level 3 machine tuner dark, 13 by 1150. During your main phase you can banish this card in any number of non-tuner machines from your grave whose still levels equal 10 or less, and if you do special summon from your extra deck one ally of just the Synchro Monster whose level equals the total levels of those banished monsters. Maybe the those is... because the those comes from the wording of King's Consent, which isn't banished itself. So maybe it just be the level of the banished monsters. That sounds a bit more logical, but I get it checked. It was the total levels of the banished monsters. The special summon is treated as a synchro summon, which means I can then revive the size of armor or whichever other one from the graveyard later with something like Call of the Haunted. You can only use this effect ally of Justice Risus Crusher once per turn. Alright. This is the card. Ally of Justice Risus Crusher. A card to work with Santa Claus to make use of the fact that Santa Claus is a light monster, summon Decisive Armor, potentially other ally of Justices as well, but it's Decisive Armor really that I was thinking of when creating this card. So, not directly a support card, but the only requirement I really gave in this custom card series is that it has to be somehow related, and through the light attributes and the fact that Santa Claus goes to the opponent's field, this card is. Please let me know what you think of this card. What kind of decks would you use this card in? Would you use this in Ally of Justice? would you use this in a different kind of machine deck, like Cyber Dragons or something like that? Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.